On this episode of the Kickstart My Franchise Podcast, we're going to learn what has fueled the growth of Mobility City, a mobility equipment sales, rental, and service franchise that does a lot of good for a lot of people. Let's go! On today's episode, we have a very exciting guest. She is the CEO of Mobility City. Please welcome Diane Barada.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thanks for joining us. We're very excited.
I'm here to tell you all about Mobility City.
Awesome. So we'll start with the basics. How did your franchise start? Give us a bit of the history.
Very simple. My husband, Vinny, we are both the founders, and we started this 4 years ago. And since then, we have sold 54 units throughout the country. And we started as a little mobility equipment store. Vinny was in that business his entire life. And then I joined from being a hairdresser. I joined because I had a previous husband who had been very sick, and he was in all of this equipment. And this is how it all came to be. He was, unfortunately, he had to drive to dialysis in a power chair. And the power chair broke down, and I couldn't find anyone to repair it. And it just didn't seem possible that you could get your car fixed, you could get your lawnmower fixed, but you can't get a piece of mobility equipment fixed. And he needed this for his everyday survival. So I called and called and called, and I couldn't find anyone other than out of my range, which was in Fort Lauderdale. And it was a Mobility City, and it was Vinny that answered the phone. And he said, yes, that's what we do. I can send a truck up there to help you. And he did. And they fixed his power chair, and life was as good as it could be. But I also had everything else in my house. I had the walkers. I had to lift that chair. I had everything. I knew what it was like to be dependent on mobility equipment. And also, when you can't find somebody to fix it, what do you do? Where do you turn? So unfortunately, my husband passed away a couple of years after that. I never knew Vinny, never met him. I only met the technician. And my best girlfriend convinced me to go on to the dating sites and meet someone. So I was very fortunate. I met a Vinny Barada, and he invited me for dinner. And as we were talking, like I'm speaking to you, it's like, okay, what do you do? And what do you do? And he said he has this Mobility City in Fort Lauderdale. And I said, is that the company that came out on a Saturday afternoon? And he said, are you the girl that was crying on the phone? And it was, how did that ever even, it was just a very strange, unusual, meant to be situation. So I was still working as a hairdresser, and Vinny asked me, would you like to work at the store with me on your days off? And I said, well, yeah, okay, I'll try it, which I knew nothing about it, but I knew what it was like to be on the other end of the phone. So I was very good at taking the calls, and I was also good at marketing the business to facilities, and the business just started to grow. And one day he said, I think this is a franchisable model. He said, what do you think? Do you want to do it? And I thought, why not? Because I think it is something that's very needed. So Vinny had the brain to do that. And we started out with a tiny little bit of money, and we invested everything we had in it. And it just clicked. It really clicked because it's not something you wake up and think about. But if you're in those shoes, it's all you think about. How are you going to get to the bathroom? How are you going to get to a doctor's office? How are you going to sleep? And that's how it started.
Awesome. Yeah, what a fantastic story. And I think it kind of goes along the line of the riches in the niches slogan. That's one of those industries that you don't really think about a whole lot unless you're in that situation, but there's obviously huge demand for it.
There is.
Can you talk a little bit about the types of services you guys offer? Are you selling actual equipment? what will people find? Is there a retail location?
Yes, we have a beautiful retail location. Everybody has a mural up of a piece of their city and what it looks like. Of course, we're located, the home office here in Boca Raton, Florida. So we have a picture of palm trees and the beach and the water, and it's beautiful. And we also have a racetrack, and the racetrack is for people to come in and pick out a scooter of their choice and drive it and see if it fits their needs, their height, their weight. So we sell equipment out of our our storefront locations. We also rent equipment, and we also repair. So if your mother or your grandmother was in a piece of mobility equipment and obviously she couldn't get it to us for repair, she calls us and we come out to your home or facility and we do repairs. So we do everything that's needed for you to extend the quality of your life, and even if it's in some little way.
Fantastic. And what is a typical split, across those different service lines? I'm sure it varies a lot by location, but is it roughly, a third, a third, a third, or
Yeah,
like how do you?
it is typically a third, and a third. We do a lot of rentals. There are people that want to buy something and they're still a little hesitant. Do they need it? Do they like it? Do they really want it? So I say, you know what? Rent it for a weekend and see what you think. See how you can manage. What is it going to do for the quality of your everyday life? So rentals are about a third. Repairs are definitely a third. Could be even more because we have over 125 national accounts. So all of these manufacturers in this country, we are affiliated with them. We're on some of their websites, that if they're having a problem with their piece of equipment, they'll look up your zip code and they will send the customer to us. So we do white glove deliveries, we do repairs. So the service, the rental, that is, I would say they're all equal parts of our revenue stream.
125 national accounts. That sounds like very enticing, as somebody who could become a potential franchisee.
It
What
is.
is the advantage to me? Like if I join as a franchisee, what happens? What can I potentially get from that?
The advantage is, of course, we're going to teach you how you're going to be on Google and you're going to come up first and how you're going to be in the local newspaper. But we're also going to make your cash register ring before you even open your doors. Because once you get your van and it's wrapped, the phone's going to, again, this is what we all do as your franchisor. We're behind you 150%. We hold your hand every step of the way. And we have you introduced to all of the accounts. So if something comes up in your zip code, in your territory, in your county, because we sell by counties, you are going to get that business. So your van can start running even before your build out is done. So you're generating money even before day one.
Fantastic. And what is the total investment required, to get one of these up off the ground?
Well, your franchise fee is going to start at about $67,500 because the idea is we want you to service at least 1 million people or more, because obviously not everybody is in mobility equipment like everybody eats McDonald's and Wendy's. So we like to sell large territories, and we go by counties, and counties that are 1 million people, or we will give you a group of counties that's going to equal 1 million people or more. But your all-in fee with everything, your van, your inventory, your working capital, everything that you need to just turn the key and walk into Mobility City, I would say you're looking at anything from 250 on the low side to 300,000 on the high side. And that's your all-in figure.
Great. Fantastic. And in terms of the competitive landscape, can you just talk a little bit about, are there any national players out there? What does it typically look like?
There's national players, but not really in our space because no one has the national contracts that we have. So I have to say that does make us stand out from the rest. Second of all, of course, you have competition. You have a lot of mom and pops. You have people that are going to want to service your equipment or sell you something like a small pharmacy that sells a chair or two or a scooter or two. And maybe if you brought in your scooter, something that wasn't working, they may repair it. But um, that's not really competition because they just don't have everything that we have going for us as far
Mm.
as the national accounts and our advertisement. When you go on Google, you're going to come up first. You're going to be in your local newspaper. We run a large full page ad. People walk in the door with the ad all the time because our demographics still read the newspaper and they look at the newspaper for the ads for coupons and for sales.
Mm.
So I have to say that we do stand out in the crowd different than the other people in the industry, but you're going to have competition in every business. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a needed service.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of who you guys are looking for, what is an ideal franchisee? Can you talk about some of those characteristics that you're looking for?
If I could if I could paint a picture of the perfect person, it would be someone with an entrepreneurial spirit, someone that wants to really be successful and wants to invest in their self and grow their business more than just one, multiple stores. We have a lot of owners that are doing 2, 3, 4, and 5 locations because they found that it's very it's very serviceable to their lifestyle. They like it, and it could be anybody. We have people from school teachers to IT people to all different types. But that entrepreneurial spirit, if you have it in here and you have a heartfelt here for helping someone that's not as fortunate, Tim, as we are, we take it for granted. You get out of bed in the morning and you rush to the bathroom, and there are so many people out there that can't do that. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can help somebody and feel it here and still earn a strong living doing it, I would say that's the person we like.
Fantastic. You mentioned lifestyle there. In terms of, what the day-to-day looks like for an owner, can you maybe just talk at a high level on the types of activities that they typically do and how that varies between somebody who might, own one location versus 3?
Sure. Well, we want our owners to run the business. We want them to manage the employees. And if they have to go from one location to another location, that's okay. But they have to make sure that you have the right foundation in your locations. So your employees your staffing is very, very important. So here at Mobility City in Boca Raton, we live about 3 miles away, which I encourage everybody to live close to their location so that you can be there in this case if someone has an emergency. We like to come into the store and help people, even if it's on a holiday. We will do that. We start at 9. It's a 9 to 5, and on Saturdays it's 10 to 2. And you come in and you get your store going and you get your vans loaded because they're out for the day with doing either local work, either local service work, deliveries, or contracts or national contracts. So your day's busy from beginning to end, and then you have to have your floor person, the person that your customers, and make them feel comfortable and see what they need and how you can help them. And the phone's ringing, so you're doing rentals and you're doing repairs. So it's a busy day. Which
Sounds
is
like it.
in business you want it to be.
Right. Sounds like it. Last question. In terms of, the item 19, that's something that's always of high interest to a lot of people. Are you able to comment at all about, what people might see in your item 19?
Absolutely. Our item 19 is going to show. It shows the item 19 comes from the corporate center, which is right here in Boca Raton, and it shows a store in a 2-year in 2 years close to $1 million or more. And it's also showing a 27% net profit to the owner. And that's going to include 4 employees and 2 vans.
Mm,
So I think that's pretty strong to start out in a startup business and see those kind of numbers. Could be even could be even sooner, but I'm showing you from the corporate center on our item 19.
absolutely. Those numbers sound very, very enticing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time, and looking forward to continuing to do business with you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, Tim. It was my pleasure, and I hope that anyone that you're working with out there will at least give us the opportunity to show you a PowerPoint presentation because, like I said before, this is not the business that you wake up and say, okay, I want to repair wheelchairs. But until you get to know what it's all about through people like yourself, some people say, wow, I never even thought of such a thing, but I like
Mm,
it and I feel it. So thank you
absolutely.
again.
Absolutely. Thank you.